All right, so this came together pretty quickly, but we're being joined by one half of Saturday night's co-main event in Las Vegas, taking on Alonzo Menifield. Happy to be joined by Ovince Saint Preux. He joins us from the fight capital of the world. How are you, OSP?
I'm doing pretty good. Yourself?
I'm doing great. It's Wednesday as we record. We're 3 days away from this fight. How's the fight week preparation compared to the last time you were in this spot a couple of weeks ago?
It is a little more calm. It's a little more calm right now, but it's good. It's good. My weight is actually about 2 or 3 pounds better than it was. But the last weight cut was a good weight cut. This weight cut is a better weight cut.
There you go. It's always good when you could say this was the better weight cut than the last one, I'm sure. I mean, who am
Yeah.
I? Not at being a fighter, but what happened the last time, if you don't mind me asking? Because you weighed in, you guys faced off, all that stuff before you were eventually pulled from the event from what was reported, a positive COVID test. What happened, and when were you made aware that you weren't going to be fighting?
Probably 3 hours before the main card started. That was when I found out that I was going to fight. But when it comes to the COVID test, you really don't know. Sometimes in people where you can quarantine 10, 14 days, after 10, 14 days, you're good. But, that doesn't mean nothing. That means you're not transmitted anymore. So what usually happens is that, you'll still test positive. So I tested negative, then I tested positive, and I tested negative again. And then I tested positive and positive. So the real test that counts is the one that's on Friday. And, Friday when they tested me, I tested positive. They were like, the Nevada State Commission told me you can't fight. So they wanted to push it back to the following week. And I was like, look, I just carb loaded, had all the sodium back in me. But there's no way I'm going to try to cut all that out when technically this week is supposed to be my water load week. But we got to figure it out. Got to push it back 2 more weeks, and everything right now working out thus far. So
That's good. I mean, definitely a bummer, I'm sure, for you, but you were able to sort of get what you wanted to get a push back an extra week. But you want to get in there, compete, and make that money, and that's what this thing's all about. Were you compensated at least for the last one? Like I know they turned you around quick, but and I know just sort of precedent that has been set that they'll give you like a little something, but then give you a fight like not far after that. Are you happy with how that part played out at least?
I mean, given the fight was 2 weeks later, the only thing I wasn't compensated, but given the fight, it was 2 weeks later. That's the only thing I was happy about. So was I upset a little bit? Yeah, but I mean, it's one of them things where I had to fight 2 weeks later. But I think about it as like, if it happens this week again, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to be compensated. So it's crazy because nobody really don't know anything about this COVID thing, and everybody's trying to wrap their head around it. Fighters, trainers are going through the same thing I'm going through, and I'm kind of like, I was just fortunate enough to get back and. My results came back negative. So, but I've been busting my ass. Even when I went home, I was supposed to leave on Wednesday. I left again on Sunday and turned around and was training on, Monday, trying to get my butt, like, not back in shape, but just like make sure I'm maintaining really good. But, hopefully everything goes smoothly this week. Right now, it's crazy. I try not to think about it because me thinking about it is me trying to have some type of form of control over it. So my mentality has been that of like, F it.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. There's nothing you could do. It's nothing like you planned for or anything like that. It's not like you injured yourself or anything like that. It's kind of just like a weird thing that we all have to deal with right now. And the mystery is, sort of outweighs everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was pretty difficult, stressful, because as fighters, like, you just can't tell a fighter like, okay, you got to fight to get prepared for, and you got to stay quarantined at the same time. Like, a fighter's gonna look at you and be like, no, that's not happening. You're gonna need to push yourself. You're gonna need to actually do your strength and conditioning, do your training, whether it is jiu-jitsu or whatnot. You're gonna need partners for that. But people don't understand sometimes, like, with fighters, having that 6 feet distance is damn near impossible. it's damn near impossible. I mean, it's just like, and then when you have a fight to get ready for, all you can do is just like, well, I'm gonna bust my ass during the training camp. But I hope I don't catch this. So, it's just a fortunate situation. It's just one of them situations I caught mine. So to be honest, the way it was going over the summer, I was like, man, like 2 months ago, I was like, man, I wish I can catch COVID and just get it out the way. And mine was just 2 months too late.
Did you feel any effects of it at all? Like, were you feverish? Did you have any, things that people are talking about? Because everyone's COVID case is different, and I feel like everyone feels like they've had it at some point.
Yeah, yeah, everyone is different. No, I didn't feel it at all. It was crazy because my trainer's wife, she was traveling with her family, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go get COVID tested," and I was like, "Okay, cool. I haven't went since my fight," and I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go." She went, hers came out negative, my came out positive, and I was like, "Wait, hold up! I have no symptoms at all. I had no symptoms. Like, I think I had a fever of like 101 for like, I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I checked my fever. It was like 101. I woke up at like 8 in the morning, and it went from 101 to like 97. And later on that day, I went like on a hour and a half mountain bike ride, and then ran 4+ miles that night. So that could have been the symptom, but other than that, I didn't have anything. No loss of taste, smell, nothing.
It's crazy, man. What else is crazy is the last time we saw you fight, it was at heavyweight against Ben Rothwell, and when you hit the scales and the guy from the commission's like 240 pounds, I'll be honest, Ovince, I was like, this is going to be your home for a while. He's going to be a heavyweight for the near future, but here we are, right back to 205. You're saying this weight cut is better than the last one from a couple weeks ago. Was that always the plan to go back to 205? Or, once you got on the scale and you didn't have to cut all that weight, you heard that 240 number, was there a possibility you might stay up there?
I mean, like I said, if an opportunity presents itself that the fight is right, I'll definitely make that jump up to heavyweight. But as of right now, it's just like the past, I think, month now, I've been walking around under 225. So I came in yesterday and I was around 220. Woke up this morning, I got like 10 more pounds to cut. So 10 more pounds in 2 days is nothing. I usually come in heavier, but when I come in lighter during fight week, especially a lot of I've been coming in the 2 weeks and this week to be honest, has potential bonus written all over it.
Were you surprised that you hit the 240 mark? Did you know that was going to be the number? Or when you
Oh
heard it,
no,
were you like, oh my God, this is
I mean,
crazy?
I was legit probably about 237, 238, but I've been heavier than 240 before. I've been, there's times when I completely let myself go. I topped off one time. I think I topped off at like 254, and I was like, you need to get yourself back in check, and started cutting back on my late night rendezvous.
I think we've all had that conversation with ourselves at some point.
Oh yeah.
I like this fight with Alonzo. He's a guy that's coming off the first loss of his career to Devin Clark at UFC 250. He's a young, very powerful guy, but I feel like that fight with Devin was something he truly needed at this point in his career, because all he had done before was just knock guys out super fast. Now he was tested. That dog was kind of brought out of him a little bit. Did you take anything away from Devin's performance to sort of prepare you for this one, or did you not even really pay attention too much to it?
Nah, not necessarily. I mean, to be honest, he just grinded it out. He's just one of those guys that, Alonzo thought he was just going to fold and put away. And, Devin was like, he got rocked in the first round pretty hard. And, Devin was just like, okay, I'm just going to keep on fighting. Most guys would have folded. But, it's neither here nor there. But I think thus far, that was probably his toughest fight. Even and experience goes a long way. Devin fought a lot of, good experienced guys too. But Menifield, he's still young in the game. I think he's still got a lot to learn. So, it's different, and I'll say it'll be different with me too, just because I'm pretty much well rounded everywhere. My wrestling is pretty decent. My jiu-jitsu is pretty good. My striking is actually pretty good too, and I have always get I have power too, and I can do it with my hands and I can do it with my feet. I think one of the first times I fought Shogun, people was like, well, Shogun had more power than I did, and kind of figured that out pretty quickly.
The narrative surrounding this fight, I'm sure you've heard it already, is that, this probably isn't going to go the distance. If it stays standing, it's his fight. If you get to the ground, it's your fight. And anything can happen in a fight. Like, once that cage door locks, it's a shoot. Whatever happens, whatever openings are there, that's what happens. But is that a fair, I guess, general assessment of this fight?
I mean, what's funny about that is, like, people be like, hey, if he stays standing, it'll be his fight, Alonzo's fight. If it goes to the ground, it'll be my fight. I mean, when I first got into it at UFC, like, everybody was saying, oh, shoot, Vince is a striker. We got to get him down to the ground. And it's just like, because I was putting my hands on people. Now it's just like, his striking is not that good. People forget, like, I've knocked people out. My last fight, Ben Rothwell at the heavyweight division has never been knocked down. I knocked him down twice, and I'm coming up from a weight class. So, I mean, if I touch you, I can put you down. And if I touch Alonzo, I know I can put him down. So it's just a fact. And, Alonzo is, I'm not taking nothing away from Alonzo or whatnot, but, some of the guys that he ended up knocking out, I can do probably a better knockout than that.
So how do you get this done? I mean, you've done this so many times at this point. Do you even sort of envision that point of these fights anymore, or you just we're past the prediction stage at this point in our careers?
Past the prediction stage. I mean, to be honest, like, so much scenarios running through my mind and whatnot. It's just like, if I tell you how I want the fight to get done, I'll do it somewhere completely different. So, to be honest, I'm just gonna go in there and fight my fight. The way I've been feeling lately, the way my striking been feeling lately, my transitions and everything. I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not pushing and pulling as much as I used to. I'm not forcing nothing. Now it's just like, I'm just going to let it happen. So whatever he gives me is it's going to be there. He throws a jab, I flip a jab. He throws an overhand, I'm going to be out of the way. And if he leaves it out, if the overhand comes too slow, he might get a nasty kick to the body. But other than that, he's just like, I'm going to use all my tools. Like, I'm going to hit him from everywhere, from the head to the body to the legs.
So things have changed a little bit in this division over the last couple of weeks. Jon Jones, no longer the champion. You got to actually share the cage with the man for 25 minutes. You fought him for a world title in 2016, and there's a lot of guys that are coming up in this division that they're probably never going to get the chance to fight Jon. No matter how many times they win fights and get finishes, they're probably never going to have the opportunity to share the octagon with Jon Jones. You were able to do that. What did you make of him vacating the title? And, how do you like his chances moving up to the heavyweight division?
I mean, with his system of fighting and whatnot, it works out good for him because, Jon is always one of those fighters that he, during the earlier rounds, he actually does enough to win. But, when it gets to the late rounds, late in the third, fourth, and fifth round, he just takes it to run away. But his style is just like, his stand-up game is pretty much, he can hit you from anywhere, and he switched stance, leg kicks, step to the bodies. Like, he's just versatile and all that. So I think with the heavyweight class, it should be good. I mean, I can't tell just because a lot of times when you're lighter, when you're lighter, a lot faster. When you're lighter, you're a lot faster. But when you actually get in that heavyweight division, them guys can take hits. Like I said, when I fought Ben, those two shots that I would have gave him, there's two shots that I gave him. He was like, I think the last one he said he slipped. If I'd have hit any other 205 like that, he would have been asleep. So, but it should be interesting seeing what he can do in the heavyweight division. But as for the weight class right now, everything it's just, I think for the 205 division, we'll find out something by the end of this year, like what's going to end up happening. Obviously, the belt is on the line with Blackwitch and Dominic Reyes. So we shall see. Probably by the end of this year, you're going to see a lot of change within the 205 division.
I mean, it's got to be someone like yourself who's already fought Jon. This has to make things a much more compelling looking for you, because if you go on a run, you win 2, 3, 4 in a row here, I mean, you're right back in the mix there with Jon out of there. Do you feel that way? Like with Jon vacating, you're like, all right, this is my opportunity. Like the door's opening a little bit more here.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, even for the first time I fought him too, he's just like that fight was like on a 2 weeks notice,
Right.
and yeah, I was 2 weeks notice, broke my arm in the third round, and I still was able to finish the fight in a good fashion. But now it's just the way I've been feeling, the way I haven't let myself go. When I let myself go and actually try to cut my weight down, that's when I'm getting in trouble. But this time around, it's just like everything just pretty much been on point. So, like I said, usually when I'm like that, there's potential bonus written all over the fight.
There we go. That can make up for the last time because you didn't get let's get you a bonus and all will be well. Who do you think wins? I mean, you fought Reyes, you haven't fought Blachowicz yet, but who do you think wins that fight at the end of the month?
Reyes is southpaw as a counter fighter, and probably Reyes. He kind of sticks and moves a lot. It's just, and it's gonna be a 5-round fight, and I mean, he looked good, and he don't care too. Like, you can check his kicks, he's still gonna kick. So I think probably Reyes in that fight.
Yeah, I think that seems to be the general consensus surrounding that. But before that happens, you got a fight coming up this Saturday against Alonzo Menifield, co-main event. Very much looking forward to this. Finally, OSP is back at the 205-pound division. Glad you're feeling better, man. I'm glad you're in good spirits and good shape and ready to hit the scales and ready to hit the octagon on Saturday. I appreciate you giving me so much time during fight week. I know it's kind of a pain, but I appreciate it very much, man. All the best to you on Saturday.
Thank you.